Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Same Old Arsenal USA. You guys know who I am, the Bearded Gooner. Starting a little early tonight. Ryan and Stan are sort of in the green room still, getting makeup and all that good stuff. We got to look pretty for you guys. But I thought I'd take this opportunity because I had something that has been, I guess, just I've been stewing on this really since Saturday, and I've seen a lot of things on Twitter and social media that sort of reaffirm some of the things that I've kind of always thought. And it's I fell in love with this sport when I was 10 years old. And as a young American kid playing baseball, playing ice hockey, playing American football. This was not a sport that a lot of my friends played. None of us really paid attention to, anything going on in the world of soccer, if you will. But as I got older and I could watch more and pay attention more, um, something that I have come to the realization of, and I came to this realization a while ago, but this is without a doubt the most corrupt sport that I mean that I can imagine. It is unreal how money has corrupted this sport to the ends of the earth. I mean, so for example, a lot of talk on Saturday, and look, the fellas are going to be in here in a little bit. Um, So don't fear it. It's not the bearded gooner hour or anything like that. It's the bearded gooner like 7 minutes. But a lot of talk from Saturday, and like I say, that the guys and I will get into this. I think a little bit more, but a lot of people, and I don't know, was it anger? Was it disappointment with the result from Saturday? I don't know, but a lot of people that I talked to, that things that I saw on social media was this was an agenda against the club. There was something coming down this official. Stuart Atwell needs to be investigated. The VAR official, and I'm not even sure of his name, he needed to be investigated because we're talking about corruption, and matches basically, but we're talking about games being fixed, basically, is what we're talking about here. Um, and there's a former referee or official, Mark, I believe it's Halsey, is his name, and he has had some very harsh things to say regarding things like this, and I'm gonna quote: "I've been in that situation when I've seen an incident and been told to say I haven't seen it. To be fair to the FA, it's not them. It comes from within the Professional Game Match Officials Limited, which is I guess I'll basically say like the match officials union, for lack of a better way to describe it." Uh, Mark Halsey goes on to say, quote, "It doesn't stop there. We've been told to give a certain amount of corners or throw-ins, fouls, bookings, etc. The Premier League is rife with spot fixing and bias toward certain clubs from the FA. Every referee in the Premier League could be in front of a court one day soon," unquote. That is from Mark Halsey, a Premier League official for about 15 years, 1999 to 2013. He was a Premier League official. And I've started following him on Twitter, and he had quite a lot to say after the Arsenal Manchester City match, in terms of penalties, red cards, cards in general, fouls, so on and so forth. And as we go back and we look at the statistics from the match, as far as I know, and I could be wrong here, but I'm not sure that Manchester City were ever shown a card in this match. Um, while Arsenal were shown, I believe, all told, including if you take Gabriel's two cards, if you count the two yellows, Arsenal were shown a total of six cards in the match, I believe. Um, so it's I can't wrap my brain around this. I can't wrap my brain around the idea that a sport that I love so much is as corrupt as what this could possibly be. And it really takes a lot of the enjoyment out of this if the results are already predetermined. If we go into a match knowing that the officials are going to do everything in their power to rig the outcome of the match, where's the fun in watching it? And a lot of the things that I saw, that I heard, that I read, it all comes back to there's corruption here, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's where we are here with this, in my opinion. It is not fun. The result aside, and like I say, the fellas, and I will get into this more. I'll just say this real quick. I'm not disappointed with the result. I was hopeful, and when we were up 1-0, um, I was very hopeful. We were on the front foot. I thought we played very well, and I think we had a good chance to take all 3 points from them. And I just feel like the more that I sit with this, and I've gone back and I've watched the game, I've watched it 3 times now, including, well, I didn't watch it live. I watched it later in the day, Saturday, but I've watched it 3 times. And I got to tell you that there is no doubt in my mind that Stuart Atwell, whether it be Stuart Atwell purposely, whether of his own volition or was told by someone higher than him, um, look, you need to produce some cards for Arsenal and you need to let City get away with some things. Why that is, I have a theory. The theory is money. When in doubt, follow the money. And you look at a club like Manchester City and their owner. And now we talk about Newcastle and their owner, who could buy the moon if he wanted to, or they wanted to. Um, we talk about Paris Saint-Germain and their ownership. And we're talking about the richest countries in the world buying Premier League clubs that were once a part of the fabric of the very neighborhood in which they exist. There's a very large difference between American sport franchises and football clubs. They're clubs. They were created by local people who wanted a local club to play a sport. Um, I'm not going to get into the long history of football and clubs and things like that, but in American sports, you have the NFL, and each team in the NFL and its ownership, they are beholden to the NFL. These Premier League clubs are beholden to no one. They don't have to play in the Premier League. They don't have to play under the umbrella of the Football Association in England. And the same goes for the entirety of Europe. Bayern Munich don't have to play under the governing body of German football. Barcelona and Real Madrid don't have to play under the governing body of Spanish football. They are clubs, and there's no I'm struggling to find the right way to put this, but they're not a franchise. They're not NFL clubs, and I'll use the NFL because it's so big, and most, if you're European, if you're British, you know what the NFL is. Yes, they're owned by individuals or an ownership group, if you will, but they are beholden to the rules of the National Football League. When it comes to expansion, you're a prospective owner. You come in with a plan. Here's my city, here's my stadium. This is what I can generate for the NFL, and the NFL will approve it. In Europe, you don't need that. You could just start up a club. Now, I'm not saying that you could jump into the FA, but you could start a club, and it sucks to see what is happening to this sport because of the money that is involved. And I'm sorry, I went off on a rant or a tangent there. Let me circle back to the ownership of some of these football clubs and their money. Follow the money. And I see GB, the bookies have all these guys on the payroll. The punters and fans suffer. I don't know that it's even the bookies. Maybe it is. Maybe the bookies are in cahoots with the officials who are, of course, in cahoots with the league and the FA. And I think it all comes back to money. And I think it all comes back to some of these clubs are basically, they're not just buying their titles by buying players. I'm going to say that I think they're buying their titles and their trophies by going to the governing bodies and saying, look, here's who we are, and here's the money that we have. We own you, and you're going to give us what we want. And you obviously they can't be blatant about it, but who would investigate these clubs? Who would come to the fore to investigate the FA? The FA is the governing body. So is it FIFA? Because FIFA might be the most corrupt organization in the entire world in any arena. They're more corrupt than government, for crying out loud. That's how bad FIFA are. The World Cup and everything in Qatar, and I'm not going to go down that road. We got to get the show started here, but the bottom line, I'm not real happy right now, and it has nothing to do with the result on Saturday, and we will get into this tonight. But I just needed to come on tonight, guys, and start a little early and just kind of get this off my chest. It sucks to think that the results are already predetermined to a degree. And we could debate this, and I don't really want to look for a debate here with anything. So that's all I have for my little 12-minute or so rant here. It is time for the actual same old Arsenal USA. We're going to go through. We'll get into the countdown. We'll do the intro. I'll introduce everybody. We're going to get into it. We got a lot to talk about tonight. It's going to be a big show. Ryan and Stan are ready to go. Hopefully, Rowan will be jumping in here any minute. Not sure about Glenn. Glenn had some things come up. He might make it. He might not. If he's here, we'll, of course, bring him in and get his take on everything that's going on. So it's a big show. Get ready. I'm going to bring Stan and Ryan in here momentarily. Off we go. How's it? Welcome into the actual now same old Arsenal USA. As I said before, you guys know who I am. I'm the Bearded Gooner. I've got Arsbro, Ryan from the Arsbros. I've got Stan, the man, the brand, the myth, the legend, all of the there we go. That's much better. So yeah, I just needed to get that off my chest there, fellas. But Ryan, how are you tonight?
Yeah, doing good. A lot to talk about with our game on Saturday. A lot of positives, a few negatives, and I'm sure we're going to disagree on a lot of things. But nonetheless, I'm happy to see you guys, and I'm happy that we could talk about this, and hopefully it'll be in a relatively professional manner. That it won't.
I'm curious to what you think we're going to disagree about. But before we get there, let's check in with Stan. How are you, sir?
I'm alive. I was
that certainly beats the alternative, does it not?
I was laid up since last Thursday with like a
flu, yeah, you said
something, and the missus. So, I basically had one beer on New Year's Eve in front of the telly, and I've been in bed most of it. But I feel better today, so I'm looking forward to talking about the match with you guys.
Yeah. My New Year's, I wasn't sick. My New Year's Eve was spent the same way. I sat on the couch, I watched some TV, and that was listen, man, when you get to be my age, New Year's Eve's just another night. Guess what? Whether I'm up at midnight when the clock the clock strikes the new year, or whether I wake up the next morning at 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever time, it's still gonna be the new year, right? So let's bring Rowan in here. He just jumped in. There he is. Happy New Year, fella.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
What's going on, man? How you been?
I'm good. I'm just battling a little bit of jet lag. Being back from Europe. So yeah, just took a cheeky little nap before coming off. So, yeah.
When did you get back?
I got back yesterday evening. So it's been literally just 24 hours since I've back.
Wow, yeah. How long you were over there for? How long?
I was there for about 12 days.
Oh wow! So you spent Christmas and New Year's over in Germany.
Yeah.
He was in the fatherland, right?
Yeah. And a small little trip to France as well.
Nice.
Included, thrown in there.
That private jet that I get about, eh?
Yeah.
Looking at the old
So wait, I have to ask. So Rowan, I have to ask you a question real quick before we actually jump into Arsenal stuff. So you were in Germany for the New Year. So you've seen the future.
Yeah, I have.
And
the future is bright for Arsenal.
Oh, I see what you did there. Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah.
The
future is bright. And I can't wait to get in on the action, which is why, like, after a loss, I was buzzing to come on still to talk about the game and to talk about how we are doing and the expectations in the new year and all of that, to share it with all of you guys, my friends here on the panel and the fine people in the comments.
Yeah, and 24 right off the bat here. We're big time watching right off the bat here. So thanks everybody for being in the live chat. We certainly appreciate it. So I guess let's just dive right in here. Boy, a lot to cover from Saturday's match. First of all, I didn't
say, Tanner, before we get into that, I would like to say just a few words on what you said. 10 minutes for your intro about what you said, because I didn't see all of that by Halsey. I saw a little bit about what he was saying about our results, but I didn't see in depth like what you were saying. And those are pretty strong accusations, because if I'm understanding it correctly, what he's saying is he's not putting this down to human error, mistakes, incompetence. What he's saying, if I understand this right, is out and out match fixing.
Yeah.
Determination, turning it from a sport into entertainment. And my only comment on that would be, if that is the case, I can watch wrestling if I want to watch something that's predetermined entertainment, and I will enjoy it.
Did you just pull back the curtain?
It's not real, mate. Yeah, it's not real. It's not real. Sorry to spoil it for you.
Oh my God.
But it also just smack a little bit of...
Next thing he's going to tell me Santa Claus isn't real either.
As you was talking about that, it did remind me a little bit about what happened in the Formula One. And I just, without going into that, I'm sure that there are probably more people out there that never watched Formula One that are now aware of Formula One and what went down. And they'll probably have more eyes on their product next season because of it. And I just hope that this isn't a trend. From what I saw, what happened in the end of the Formula One and what you're now describing in football, it sounds quite disturbing. So I'm going to look into that after we finish speaking over the next couple of days, because that's pretty. I don't want to watch a sport that's going to be predetermined.
Yeah, it really sucks. And just real quick, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but there was an NBA official, basketball referee, basically, who was caught here in America. I don't know, Ryan. Maybe I know you know what I'm talking about. You heard about this? Tim something or other was his name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Was it point shave? I mean, he wasn't fixing games. I mean, it is incredibly difficult if the players are not in on the con. It is incredibly difficult to actually fix any sporting event. It isn't. I mean, the F1 thing, I don't know much about it. I heard, but I can't speak intelligently on it. But there was this NBA official, bottom line, was like point shaving, or he was basically betting on games and then that was influencing the calls that he would make on the court. Basically, he was betting, like, I'll say the over under. So he was either calling fouls to try to, build up points for this or whatever the case may be. But he got found out, and he did some jail time over it. But more to my point, and like I said, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. If you guys want to respond, I'll give you the opportunity to do so. But it's just who would go after any Premier League match official to say we're going to investigate you now? It can't be the officials. It can't be down to Stuart Atwell or Mike Dean, right? I mean, these guys aren't doing this on their own. They're just not. So if the FA isn't going to investigate them, because you would think that based on the comments and everything that I've seen from Mark Halsey, if they go after one referee, that referee is going to say, if you come at me, I'm pulling the curtain back on the whole damn thing, and I'm pulling the whole thing down. Or they go after him and they say, look, you're going to be the fall guy, but we're going to take care of you and your family and their family and their family. And, fuck it. If you've got, everybody on your block, they're all going to get new cars and houses or whatever the case may be. But it, like Stan said, it just sucks if the results are sort of predetermined. I don't think the results are predetermined. I think, but everything that Halsey said, I think when you watch a game, especially what we saw Saturday, and if somebody could pull it up for me, I would love to actually know what the stats are. Did Manchester City get a card?
Yeah, 94th minute.
They got two.
And that card,
they did. Okay, so they got two.
That card was for Rodri taking his top off in celebration.
Okay, but that's one of those where it's like it's the goalkeeper playing the ball with his hand outside the 18-yard box, right? That's a no-brainer. There's no gray area there, right? The shirt comes off in celebration of a goal, card. It's automatic. So there's no judgment there from the official. That's a given. What was you said they got two. So what was the other one?
Silva was just time wasting. We got a free kick and he kicked the ball away.
Okay. Again, pretty much a no-brainer or a given that's going to have. There were no judgment calls there. So, I mean, we're on the subject. So, Ryan, I'm going to start with you because you said right off the very beginning that you think we're going to disagree on a lot of things, and I don't know if this is like the equivalent of clickbait. I think Rowan's falling asleep. You're falling asleep. You were like this. Hang on, real quick. Did you guys say he was like this? I thought you were out. I thought you were going over.
Not that bad. Not yet.
I'm sorry. Anyway, Ryan, so what is it that you think we're going to disagree on? The floor is yours.
I don't know. I think we kind of just started, so I don't really know what we'll disagree on. But real quick, I'll do my beer of the week because
I disagree.
Thank you. So many different things happened. I think you could see it as so many. You could see it as different things. I know we'll talk about the Odegaard penalty, the Xhaka penalty, and how at one point I think for every we were getting carded for every other foul at one point. That's how it worked out. But yeah, so my beer of the week is by Back East Brewing. It's called Infinite Universe because I'm sure there's a universe out there where we got all the calls and they got penalties and we beat them and I'm sure there's a infinite universe where Gabriel didn't get sent off or Granit Xhaka did. I don't know. But yeah, that's my beer of the week. But yeah, I don't know. I think I let in with my whole thing was because when you got into match fixing and corruption. I don't know. I don't really believe in all that. I'm not the biggest conspiracy theory guy. It depends on what it is, but
Bigfoot.
I think I think it could just come down to poor officiating. I think I think you could go deeper. Maybe you could say there's corruption involved. I think that there's a lot of people that had to make certain mistakes in that game. I I don't know if I want to go as far as to say match fixing and money and all that. I mean, it could be. I mean, obviously there's things that we don't know. But I try to look at, what I could see and what I could, try to analyze, throughout the game. And yeah, we got boned on a lot of calls. And I think there are a few instances where I think we got helped. And I think there were a few things that certain players got away with that no one else is talking about. And I know everyone's going to jump on me, and I know people can figure out who I'm talking about. Granit Xhaka, I actually wrote this in my notes, and you could. I don't want to show you. It's like very bad handwriting because it was 7:30 in the morning, and I was laying on the couch just scribbling. There before he got the penalty, there was 2 incidents that he did where I was like, he got away with one. He should have got a card. He should have got this. And nope. And then finally, the penalty comes. And I'm sure this is something we'll disagree with because me and Rohan disagree with it on Twitter during the game. So, yeah, I think that we were unfortunate in the not getting the Odegaard penalty. I think that was, definitely, to me, that was, the definition of penalty. He made contact with Odegaard, didn't touch the ball. And there goes that. But we didn't get it. And then the Xhaka penalty is interesting because I'm kind of like on the fence, but not really. I think he dove. I think it was Silva, right? I think Silva definitely dove. But Xhaka's not doing. Xhaka's essentially saying like, "Hey, he dove, but like you could give him a penalty because I did 2 dumbass things, and I'm giving you the opportunity to take away, the diving call, and which was the actual call on the field at the time." So if you look back, Silva jukes around Xhaka. He's dribbling past Xhaka. Xhaka knows he's beat. He's flat-footed. So what does he do? Like any good player that knows he's beat, well, he's just going to stick out any body part that he can to stop the guy from getting past him. So he sticks his leg out. That didn't work. But then before he could even realize like, oh, it's not working, it kind of is working because Silva's starting to dive. But Xhaka doesn't realize that's happening. So what does he do? He grabs a fistful of his shirt. He's not getting away this time. Granted, Silva was already diving, so therefore he had the shirt after the fact. And I've seen like a lot of weird interpretations of the call. And I tweeted it, and I fucking should have this tweet ready, but I don't. Essentially, I tweeted that if it's a foul anywhere on the pitch, it's a penalty. It's a penalty if it's a foul in the box. A foul outside of the pitch should not be any less of a foul if it's a foul in the box. I mean, in the essence, yes, it is, because if it's a foul in the box, it's a penalty shot, which is a big fucking deal than just a free kick, at the halfway line. But a foul's a foul. There's no, and another thing too is there's no soft penalties. There's no harsh penalty. A penalty is a penalty, no matter how you slice it, no matter how you dice it. So a soft penalty doesn't count as half a goal. It all counts for the same amount. So I noticed a lot of fans were trying to bail Xhaka out, and they were trying to almost excuse what he did and excuse like, oh, it was a soft penalty. Well, first it wasn't a penalty. He dove. Well, he threw his leg out. I think he made contact. People say he didn't. Whatever. He threw his leg out regardless, which we as a club and we as fans have asked for that. I think it was, I want to say we were playing Leeds. I don't know who we were playing, but Pepe dribbled around a guy. He threw his leg out. We didn't get a penalty. People freaked out. But not only that, he grabbed his shirt. So to me, it's almost Xhaka corrupting us and Xhaka going up, well, if you're not going to fucking call his penalty, I guess I'm going to have to fucking figure out a way to call the penalty. But yeah, I think he made a lot of boneheaded things. I think he was the first domino to fall that started this whole shitstorm and Gabriel getting 2 yellows, which I don't agree with either yellow. The second yellow, I think you probably convinced me of a yellow, but if you gun to my head, I would say it's not a yellow. Yeah, I'm talking for way too long. I kind of want you guys to get in on this, but yeah, no, I just think that we kind of did ourselves a little bit more than the match fixing and corruption. I want to give us a little credit.
It's not that we didn't do things to shoot ourselves in the foot. We absolutely did. I mean, I literally just watched right now. I just watched Xhaka's penalty, and I just watched Gabriel's challenge on Jesus. The challenge on Jesus is probably a yellow, quite frank, because he's going for the same space that Jesus is in, but when he pulls this number and he basically stops him from running forward, that's going to be a yellow card. I think that's going to be a yellow card just about every time. Here's the problem that I have with it. He's already on a yellow that you gave him for what? Because he mouthed off to you. City was doing that the entire game, and you didn't give them one, but you gave him one. It's the title of the show is consistently inconsistent. That, to me, is the problem. It's, Ryan, you'll understand this better than Stan and Rowan will, but I'm going to say it because it's just what I do. You guys know that about me. What do we say? What do we say in baseball? I don't care if your strike zone is 15 feet wide, but it better be 15 feet wide for both teams. Whatever your strike zone is, it better be consistent for both teams. If you're calling everything up in the zone, you call it up in the zone for both teams. If you're giving that low and away corner to every right-handed batter, you better give it for both teams. That's the problem with officiating. You get a face stomp from Ben Godfrey from Everton on Tomiyasu. That goes to VAR, and nothing. Rowan, you're the lawyer. You can't prove intent, right? Intent cannot be proved. So while I am on the fence with the Godfrey thing, and did he mean to actually stomp on Tomiyasu's face? That's neither here nor there. Take intent out of the equation. And
you want to know who the VAR official for that was?
Stuart Atwell.
Yes, it's funny.
But Stan, you're the conspiracy theorist. Something to that, huh? But for me, it's just, it comes down to, I agree with everything you said for the most part. It's just call it both ways. If you're going to be card happy for one, be card happy for both. So I go. Anybody else can jump in. That's pretty much all I have to say.
So, I generally don't like to blame referees for the result, and mostly because all of the games that we had before that, Crystal Palace, in which they should have gone down to 10 men or not, Everton, there's a couple of others. I didn't blame the referee once there because we deserved to lose that game. We were depending on the referee's decision for us not to lose that game. The reason why the referee's decisions are important in this game is because the referee's decision stopped us from winning. It didn't, and not only did it stop us from winning, it also made us lose. So we, in the other games, did not deserve to win. Here, we were clearly the better team, and everybody has acknowledged that, including Pep Guardiola and everybody else who did the post-match interview from Manchester City side, right? What I don't agree with is that there is a conscious effort to put Arsenal on the back foot, or there's some sort of corruption. I wouldn't go that far. I think it's just incompetency on the part of the referees in the Premier League, and Stuart Atwell being one of the worst in the Premier League, so he shouldn't have been given such a high-profile game anyway. But that's what happened, right? Overall, the general sense was that we were the better team. We should have. I think that he should have gone to the screen at least for the first one. What I don't agree with is that he wasn't even sent to the screen for the first one, Odegaard's, but he was sent to the screen for the second one. And now it's almost an unwritten rule in the Premier League that if you're sent to the screen, then you kind of have to overturn your decision. It's almost like it's too close for me to see, so why don't you see it, and why don't you do it yourself instead of me overturning your decision? It's almost a courtesy call now, implicit courtesy call. That's what I feel. What I don't agree with what I didn't agree with Ryan during the game, and I won't agree with it now, is the long rant that he gave about Xhaka and the 2 seconds that he spent on Gabriel. Right? I think it should be the other way around.
But if Xhaka's penalty didn't happen, Gabriel would not have gotten sent off. Can you agree with that at least?
If we were 3 goals up in the first half, then maybe he wouldn't have pulled pulled the shirt. Who knows, right? So
but that's not.
I'm not gonna blame Xhaka as much. I mean, it was a boneheaded thing to do to pull his shirt, and because he gave a decision to be to the referee who's incompetent, right? But you've got to remember that Xhaka is not a defender. He's done well throughout the game. And there he was up against one of the most informed players in the Premier League who can twist anyone inside out. That's what happened. The leg, he retracted his leg, and Silva clearly went against his leg. So the penalty wasn't for the foul with the leg. It was for the shirt pull. And why I don't agree with the penalty is because he was already on his way down. He was already looking for it. But I understand because he gave a reason for the referee to overturn his decision, he being Xhaka, right? So that's fine. But the two things that Gabriel has done, one which was basically roughing up the penalty spot. You've got cameras all around. You're not a kid in the team anymore. I mean, Gabriel is sort of a senior figure in terms of at least his stature in the team. He should have known better.
Can I just say real quick, Rohan? Can I just say he got the yellow not for that. He got the yellow for talking to the ref. It was said I don't know if I can never pronounce his name. Stivelberg, whoever, Albert.
Stevenberg.
AirPod Albert. He came out and said it, and I think someone else came out and said it. He got the yellow was because he said something to the ref. He was arguing about the penalty. And
that makes it even worse then. Right? I mean, I don't
know. Not really, because multiple people argue with him, so I don't understand why he got the yellow.
So what? You're giving a decision. Okay, even if he's got that first yellow, okay, let's just say it's so inconsistent and it's so unfair. He should know that he can't go in and just do a cynical, pull on a striker in the middle of the park. Where was he going? I mean, that was a nowhere situation. I would have been. You would have been fuming if that was Xhaka, and I would have been fuming with Xhaka if he had gone in sliding in the penalty box and then made a foul. His foul was a soft one, and this foul was clear as day. Every time it's a foul. When you pull someone back like that in the center of the field, it's always a foul. And where was Jesus going to go from there? What was the point of it? I mean, at least for Xhaka, he panicked and he had to do something because he was in the box, right? He didn't do the right thing. I'm not justifying that, but at least that. But I mean, that's enough for the controversy. I don't want to go ahead with the red card of this. I want to talk about the positives of Arsenal's play. Both of these are it's done. This is what my point of view is. But overall, we had played really well. Even after that penalty, we got a clear chance, and the one player I would want that chance to fall to is Martinelli, and for some reason he just missed it. And I know people are going to be like, why was the referee in front of him and he had to change his direction? For whatever reason, he should have still scored. He had an open goal in front of him, and he's been in the best form of his life, right?
Bro, you gotta watch that video.
He should have scored there.
The ref clearly blocked him.
We were unlucky, and that's fine, but I've said this a number of times on this show that for me the 90-minute performance is more important than the goals that we score or the the result itself. And over the 90 minutes we were the better team. I've watched this Pep Guardiola team for the past 5 years now, And from his second year onwards, there's only one team that they have feared and one team that has outplayed them consistently, which has been Liverpool. But Liverpool have done it in a different way because they've been afraid of Liverpool for their counter-acting, counter play, counter-attacking prowess, right? That's what they are scared of. I have never seen in the past 4 years any team go toe to toe with Manchester City, press them, and Manchester City has no idea what to do. Generally, when teams try to go toe to toe with Manchester City, they concede not just one or two, is probably going to be 4 or 5. But Manchester City were running helter skelter in this game. And credit to Arsenal and the young guns for pulling it off. It was amazing to watch. I'm proud of the team after this game, notwithstanding the 2 errors that we've spoken about, notwithstanding the refereeing decisions. Overall, this game was really good to watch. It shows that now we have that ability. What we need is a little bit of maturity. That's what's lacking, but that will also come with time.
Stan,
Well, good evening.
you've had a few minutes to soak it all in. So
First thing I want to say is that I was really pleased with the performance. I got up late. I wasn't getting up at 4:30 to watch it. I watched it on replay. When we got to that first 60 minutes, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. We basically showed other teams in the league that you have to have a go at Man City if you want to try and get something out of the game. And you cannot look at the calendar and just cross those games off and think, well, we're going to lose points there. You've got to try. And a lot of teams, I think, don't really do that when they go up against City. And we did. And we had control of it. I was cautious going into that game. A lot of the fan base went into that game really buoyant and thinking that we would win. I was a little bit more cautious. I was hoping that we could get something out of it, but I wasn't sure that we were going to get all 3 points. And looking at the performance and at the way that we played, we should have had all 3 points. We should have. I thought that we played fantastically. And I thought Thomas Partey, in particular, has probably had his best game in an Arsenal shirt so far since he's been with us. Really fantastic. And it's a shame now that just as he looks to be finding a little bit of rhythm, that we lose him now off to the AFCON, just as he looks like he's finding his way. But the lads have went in with some of the bad decisions that went against us. And when I saw the first one with Odegaard going down in the penalty, before I saw any replays from the angle on live TV, I immediately said penalty. Now, that could be obviously my rose-tinted glasses because I'm an Arsenal supporter and one of my players have gone down in the box. But they didn't ask the referee to go and take a look at it on the screen. Yet there's a part of me, in hindsight, looking at the game that Stuart Atwell had, there's a part of me that I'm glad that he never went and looked at the screen, because if you look at that one in slow motion, where the incident ends, it ends with Odegaard's studs on the keeper's foot. And the mood that referee was in, he probably could have looked at the screen and sent Odegaard off. Whereas for me, the only reason that Edison's foot ends up under the studs is the way that I see that one is he goes into the box, and what Odegaard tries to do for me, he tries to take an extra touch with his ball, to take it, almost try to take it around the keeper. But while he's doing that, Edison's foot's coming in at like 2,000 miles an hour. And before you know where we are, his foot's cleared the ball and is underneath the studs. However, the way that the decisions went against us, as I say, it wouldn't have surprised me if the referee had interpreted that as dangerous play from Odegaard. So I'm a little bit happy that he didn't look at the screen. But that, for me, was a penalty all day long. Now, when you go to the Xhaka one, Xhaka's a marked man, isn't he? Let's face it, he is a marked man. And the fact that he's a marked man, let's just talk about that first of all. The fact that he's a marked man means that he's going to continue to cost us points, rightly or wrongly. We can't have a marked man on our team.
And Stan, just real quick, he knows he's a marked man.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
And he's aware of it. He's aware of it. But with his one, for what the way that I saw it, the first contact is that rather than trying to make a tackle for the ball, he goes in and almost bends his body and goes in with his knees first of all to try and block the player. There's contact with the knees. Then he kind of puts his arm in front. Now Silva's going down. And then he grabs the shirt. Now, usually I would say that grabbing the shirt, you're just making it easy for the ref to make the decision. You're making the whole call easy for the ref. But the ref didn't make the call, did he? I was actually initially with that one, I was like, fuck, it looks like we're going to get away with it. Looks like we're going to get away with it because that is a penalty. And then VAR decides to get involved and call that one back to be looked on the screen. So for me, there's the inconsistency. With the Odegaard one, nothing with the screen. And Dermot Gallagher said that the reason that the Odegaard one, they didn't go to the screen in his view is because that one would have needed more forensics to find the foul. And I thought to myself, well, if you don't want to use forensics to find stuff, look at the forensics that they use when there's an offside shout. They turn the fucking pitch sideways. They draw lines on. They look for a shoelace over the line. They use deep forensics. So that didn't gel with me. I thought that was a tame excuse. But it wasn't the referee that called the foul. So, yeah, we say that Xhaka's a marked man, but the ref didn't call it. His peers did up at Stockley Park. You might want to go and have a look at that. And when a referee is told to go and take a look at the screen, have you ever seen a referee look at the screen and then go, no, I'm still good with my decision?
No, never.
It's never happened.
It's happened. It has happened once.
Has
it happened early last season. I don't remember what game it was, but I remember saying, I think I actually said it on this podcast. We weren't in the game. It was too random. I want to say it was Premier League. I could be wrong. And I was like, wow. I think he didn't give it. He checked the screen and I think he still didn't give it.
Okay.
I don't know where it is. It's happened once.
We know that it's an exception.
It happened once. It happened once. There's no proof that Ryan was lucid when he saw the incident.
Very true.
Apparently, it has happened once. So for me, there's a big inconsistency there. And what I would say to all of this is that I don't want to be like Man United, where I don't want favours from the FA, the officials, and the people that run VAR. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for fairness. Mm-hmm. That's all. You know, and as for Stuart Atwell running down into the penalty box and fucking becoming another defender for Man City so that Martinelli had to reshape his body to take his shot, he said in his notes that the reason that he did that, he wanted to see whether the ball was going to cross the line. Now think about that statement. The guy's wearing a fucking wristwatch that will vibrate if the ball crosses the line. That technology is there. It's called Hawkeye. So why are you impeding the play while we're on goal? So I'm annoyed. So when I finished the game, I was really proud of the lads because they put in a good shift. Even when we went down to 10 men, we still were given a good account of ourselves and we didn't collapse. But I was extremely annoyed at the officiating. And I have to say that Granit Xhaka and Gabriel should also shoulder the blame for the loss of points. Okay, you want to talk about scuffing penalty spots, or apparently what I heard is that Gabriel said to the referee, this is what the dissent was for. He asked the referee why you didn't look at the screen at the first one. He was asking why was there no screen shout for Odegaard? And what's his name? Stecklenburg, the guy that took over for Arteta. He said, as he understands it, there was no foul language. He asked a question.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I heard.
He asked a question and he got booked for that. My feeling is as well that when that all went down and a lot of the players were crowding around and the referee was there, Gabriel got pushed and he got pushed into the referee. I don't think the ref liked that, and he was going to book someone for that. When Gabriel got pushed into the referee was like, nah, someone is. He already had his card out. He was waiting to see who to book. He had his card. And card in his hand. Yeah, he wanted to book the whole team. And basically, as I saw it, Gabriel was the sacrificial lamb who said the wrong thing at the wrong time. Therefore, he offered himself up to the gods of refereeing. as a sacrifice.
And Stan, take it a step further, because there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Stuart Atwell is when he saw it's a foul. Like the thing with Jesus, it's a foul. It's borderline card worthy. I say borderline. If that in itself was Gabriel's first yellow card, I'll accept it. Okay. I am not sure if it's a card, but okay, I get it. There's impediment of forward progress. Okay, I can understand where he's coming from with the card. If he doesn't card him and just hands the foul, free kick, I'm pretty happy. If there's nothing, I'm like, how the fuck did he get away with that? But I'm telling you, as sure as I sit here right now, when Stuart Atwell saw that, he was like, fuck you, you're gone. I'm tossing you. And it all stemmed from the incident that you just described. I think after he gave Gabriel that card for questioning him, first of all, and there comes a problem, because I think his conscience was eating at him a little bit. And he's like, yeah, I probably should have gone to look at that, and I didn't. And now I'm being questioned over it. So rather than just take your fucking punishment, what did he do? He went on the defensive like a petulant child, and he fought back, and he gave Gabriel the card. But it was because this all happened within the span of what, 3-4 minutes?
Yeah, it's quick, 90 seconds, if that.
I mean, he may not even be, yeah. And when he saw the foul on Jesus, that was it. He was like, yep, I got him. He was getting Gabriel probably should have been substituted after the yellow card. That's the only way you were going to keep 11 guys on the pitch.
But
I'm telling you, he was going after someone. We were going down to 10 men after that penalty, come hell or high water. There's not a doubt in my mind that Stuart Atwell was going to go after someone, and he was going to give them a red. He was going to give somebody a second yellow. Gabriel, not 90 seconds later, gave him the opportunity, and out the door he goes.
But I would agree in my mind. I have to agree with Ryan. I honestly believe that had Granit Xhaka not got involved in the way that he did with his foul, I do believe that was a start of a chain of effects.
Yes.
In so much as that way that if you remember the match against Liverpool when Mikel Arteta reared up at Klopp and Klopp reared up back, you saw the way that the emotion from Klopp permeated down into the Liverpool team and they fucking knocked it up a gear or two. Things like that happen. Things like that kind of ripple through. And I think that with what Xhaka did, it really undone the good work that we were doing. And Gabriel, he kind of followed suit a little bit with that kind of. Gabriel was kind of like, oh yeah, we're playing like that then, are we? We're all pissed off. You know what I mean? He's like, and I just think it was the wrong move, man. And it really undone 60 minutes of excellent work. Because we had them. We fucking had them, man.
Yeah. I do think that staying, if we see this thing out 11 on 11, I think it ends in a draw. I think we get a point out of it. I don't think we lose. I'm not saying we win, but I don't think we lose.
I mean, I was 30 seconds. We were 30 seconds away from getting that draw, and like my coach Chad said, that this is the best performance that we've put in about 5 years, right? So I would have been gutted with a draw. Coming out of that, it would have been 2 points dropped, and it's not often that you say that against City, right? And coming out against a loss, with a loss against City, just after playing that match, just feels like we've been cheated out of it. But it's fine. I mean, for me, that's the end of talking about refereeing decisions and what was bad in that game. And for me, I want to concentrate on what was good. And what was good was our style of play, which is coming to the fore, of the team buying into it, the team having that trust in the system, and having the energy to perform. I think we had a little bit of advantage given that we didn't play our game in between, and we had our best 11 available, right? That these two things were in our favor. but nonetheless, when you're playing against City, you need every possible thing to go for you, and it did. And it's not like City haven't been beat in the last 4 years, you know, and including this year. They've been beaten many times, but I haven't seen a performance like this. And that for that, I acknowledge the team, and I feel like we're headed in the right direction. And somebody uh, put a graph out of our players, right? It's well known. Our recruitment has been excellent this season. Our team consists of, except for one spot in central midfield and our striker, 9 other spots are players who are 24 and under. And if we keep this group together, there are great things to come. One thing that I must say is that you know when City make changes, their uh, their their substitutes get they just bring the same quality as what's going off. For us, it's probably going to be a dip in quality, but that's expected. We're not playing in the Champions League, so that's why we need to get into the Champions League. And it's not going to be. I was discussing this with Chad during the game that it's not going to be games like City which is going to decide where we finish on the table. It's going to be games against our rivals in that area, the Tottenhams and the Manchester Uniteds and the lesser teams. So let's not worry about this game. This game is about giving us confidence of what we can do in our abilities, and notwithstanding the results, we'll take that confidence ahead with us. But now it's implementing it and getting those points to get us into the Champions League.
Just real quick here, guys. I want to just quickly shout out Chahat Chawla. Thank you very much for the kind donation. Great work, guys. We appreciate it. It's for all of you guys. So thank you very much. We certainly appreciate it. But yeah, focus on the positive here, because I went into the game saying the performance is what will matter to me, not the result. Am I disappointed? Very, because I feel like we had something taken from us. I feel like we started pushing it away, and then somebody's like, "Oh, you don't want it? Okay, I'll take it." You know what I mean? But there were a lot of things to be positive about, right, Ryan?
I mean, it's funny we want to talk about the positives. I mean, I've been seeing these positives for longer than you three have, so I kind of want to talk about the negatives. But no, but
I've seen positives for some time.
Well, yeah, I feel like I got a lot of shtick over the Burnley game, beating them 1-0, beating Norwich 1-0, and everyone's like, "Oh, I don't see shit." I was seeing it, and I think, and I said it last week. A team like Norwich, they were a team possessed when we played them, and when we beat them 1-0, not when we beat them 5-0. When we beat them 1-0, they were having the game of their lives. Brad Williams, a loanee from Man U, was having the best game. Shut down defense. I think it was against Pepe. Couldn't let him do anything. Then I think that's the game where Odegaard get the free kick as the only goal, or maybe it was a Lacazette goal. I don't know. But regardless, I've been seeing this, seeing kind of, I think what's kind of different now and why we're battering teams and why we're playing well with a team like Man City is because everyone's starting to realize their role, and everyone's kind of like, "Oh, you bring this to the table, you bring this table, I bring this," and like everyone, I guess everyone's bringing their meal and their dessert to the Thanksgiving dinner table, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, cool, like this will be a Thanksgiving dinner." Like everything's making sense. Whereas before it was like, "Oh, Martinelli, you're like fast, but like you don't know structure. You just gonna run your head off." Like, all right, that's cool. You have a Aubameyang who's like in some games, not in some games, and then you have Partey who's inconsistent, Xhaka who can pick out a good pass, but he needs the game to be brought to him. You didn't really have, you had a lot of pieces that were just like, we didn't know what to do. And then you have players like Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who I'm sure we'll get to later, who just can play so many positions, but yet he's playing none. But yeah, I think kind of seeing, for instance, Gabriel Martinelli kind of coming into his own, at the expense of Aubameyang. It's great to see because it's definitely a piece that we need. It's definitely something that we could use to this team, his speed and his finishing capabilities. I think that, the sky's the limit for us. I think we need to, improve, probably the center of the pitch for us and probably the striker position. But, the sky's the limit. And I personally am not, I'm upset the game got taken from us. But you know what? Like, I don't expect us to go for the league. I want us to just, top 4 would be nice. If we even get into Europa, I'll be happy. I know that's like setting the bar very low just because of how we're playing. But I do think that this form that we're on is not going to last the end of the season. I think we're going to play well. I just don't think the points are going to be there for us. I think that, who knows? I could be wrong because I was the one that said fucking 1-0 at Burnley and we were out physicaling them is fucking amazing. I love this team. And you guys are like, no, 1-0 at Burnley. Like, come on, they're going to be relegated. So I don't know, but I'm excited because of the players that we're bringing in and, just the chemistry and the players want to play for each other. And I listened to the full podcast with Aaron Ramsdale, Ben Foster's podcast. I think it's called the Fozcast. Listen to the whole hour and a half of it. It's a great podcast. Everyone should check it out. And just the way he talks about Martinelli, Saka, and ESR, it's exciting. It's very exciting times. And if we need a ref and VAR to really pull the fucking wool over our eyes for us to lose that game, I'm fucking pumped. I'm excited. Bring it on.
That's pretty much where I am. Everything, the very last thing you said there, that's where I am.
Honestly, I kind of like it. I like being. I don't like the game being taken away from me, but
sure.
The fact that that all of that shit had to happen before we lose in stoppage time to probably the best team in the world, like that feels fucking awesome. Like I know this is sound stupid because everyone's like talking about how like, oh, I felt so good, we played so well. I was like proud. I almost wanted to wear it as a badge of honor.
That is
like
the
all
word.
This shit had to happen to us for you to take this game away from us, from the best team in the world. Like, all right, yeah. What more do you guys got? Make it more obvious. And I think I don't think it was that obvious because, again, really quick, I just wanted to say with the Odegaard thing, I think if Atwell calls that penalty, I think we get it. I think the fact that he didn't call it, VAR is kind of like, not clear and obvious. But when you see like Xhaka's leg being thrown out, Xhaka pulling in a shirt, regardless of whether he was diving or not, that's clear and that's a clear and obvious indication something's afoot. Xhaka's trying to cheat. I know cheat's a strong word here, but he is. He's trying to cheat by taking Bernardo Silva out of the play. Silva's past him. He's trying to take him out of the play. So, with all that being said, I still think there was a lot of wrongdoing on their part. Whether you want to blame Atwell, you want to blame VAR, and blame them both, whatever you want, you can blame us too. But it's awesome to see, and like I said, I wear it as a badge of honor. I just hope that kind of what Stan was saying, we need to fix those problems. We need to get the marked men out of our squad and out of the roster completely at this point because it's going to be exposed in games to come.
Here's a question, right? Here's a question quickly because I wanted to add this on with the last segment before we moved on, and Ryan's kind of pulled it round, so I can bring it back in. Do we lose control of that game the way that we did with the manager on the sidelines? With Mikel Arteta being there, would he have been able to have kept the cooler heads in any way?
I don't think anything changes. I think the only
because
in my opinion, I know Ryan disagrees with me in this. I don't think Gabriel's yellow card, his first yellow, was justified. He asked the ref a simple question. A scuffle occurred. The ref just wanted to give somebody yellow, and Gabriel, your number was chosen, and that's not fair. And I'm not blaming Gabriel for that. I don't blame him asking the ref a simple question. And
I don't blame him either. If that's
you want to blame him more than Xhaka, so you are blaming him for something.
If Mikel Arteta was there, he probably got a card himself.
It's true.
Maybe
maybe Arteta would have got the card over Gabriel, so then maybe
I bet Mikel Arteta had to order a new television from home.
Oh right, yeah.
Straight on the phone to Rumbelows.
Yeah. No. So the first card is fine. For whatever reason, whether it was
That's all
cuffing
I'm
the
saying.
penalty area or whether it was mouthing off of the referee or whatever it was. The second card is what I take exception to. You always know that it's a card. Those cynical fouls where you pull somebody back where there's no challenge on the ball.
In
Those
the
are
centre
always
circle as
yellow
well.
cards.
In the centre circle. I mean, there's
There's
nothing
there's
going
no
on, right?
in no man's land. I don't have I don't really get angry when players try to go for the ball in the penalty box and they make a genuine attempt, but I hate it when I see penalties where the ball is going away from goal towards the corner flag and the defender wants to be too tight or just goes in sliding and then gives a penalty in that manner. It was going nowhere. Why do you need to go there? So that's basically the reason why I think Gabriel's was a little bit worse than what Xhaka has done, because there was no imminent threat on goal. There was no imminent threat in Gabriel's case, and he should have known that he was already on a yellow, and that's always going to be. I'm not even borderline. What he's done deserved a yellow card, and he shouldn't have done that.
Tanner's
But
get.
it's
Oh,
fine.
sorry, go Ryan.
The point is that like I said, I'm gonna stop talking about the refereeing decisions because
I'm not.
there's
I have a
no point
question.
in discussing that. I want to discuss our play, even apart from the Martinelli miss right after the penalty, or even in the first half, keeping the penalty aside, we had a couple of good chances other than that as well. Just missing the target by a little bit. Martinelli a couple of times, or a couple of other combination plays that were really good. What somebody told me was that we performed the goal that we scored. It was an open heart surgery on City, right? What I would have loved a little more was if Saka, instead of taking that shot, had passed it to Odegaard, because there was a massive hole there, and that would have been the perfect Arsenal goal. Not that this wasn't really good as well, but there was a pass available there, and that would have been just walking it in, but taking nothing away from that. There were so many points, and not just talking about the attacking, we looked comfortable defending. We had two banks of four. We were pushing them to the side. What I said in the half time was that we shouldn't concede a stupid header, right? That's what we've been doing in the past 2 games, 3 games against City. If you remember the 1-0 that we had 2 games ago, that was Sterling getting in and scoring a header. The previous one was a 5-0, but it was started off by a header by Gundogan, right, getting in between our defenders, our central defenders. And these are City should not be scoring headers against us, right, against any team for that matter. And if they do, then that's a problem. But we controlled that game, and we were in control even with 10 men. We got the red card in the 59th minute, and we controlled it for about 35 minutes, 34 minutes. And it was only a really lucky break for City that got them the points. So defending wise as well, we've shown a lot of maturity. It's not easy to defend against City with 11 men, let alone 10, but we did that, right? We didn't lose our heads. I was waiting for us to capitulate there. And then it would have been, oh, the takeaways are from the first 60 minutes, and then let's just scratch off the last 30 minutes like it never happened. It's not like that. We will take away the whole game, and we'll just learn how to mature from that. That's all.
Stanton, you had a comment that you
Out.
Stan, what were you? What were you?
Hello?
What did you want to talk about? Or
No, I was. We already gone past that now. What happened to Tanner?
I don't know. I think he clicked the wrong button. Who knows?
Let's talk about some of the good stuff.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Saka's goal, man.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was nice.
Go on. What did you think of that, Ryan?
It's funny. People were saying.
Don't forget to mention the assist and the pass that came up with it. There was a good move.
Kieran Tierney.
Odegaard and then Tierney, right?
Yeah, people were saying that was apparently supposed to be meant for Odegaard, but Odegaard ran in too late or he ran in too early for the kick. I don't remember, but no, it's nice. It's nice to see that we're willing to play in the middle of the pitch. We're willing to play a little quick, a little loose, and not many teams can do that to Man City. So, like I said, it's very nice. It's definitely something we need to really brag about because it's something that's going to happen again, and we're going to be able to expose, teams that aren't as good because Man City's great. I know they were missing a couple players in defense, maybe one, maybe two, I think. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm excited. And Saka's a real gem, obviously. And I'm not saying anything new here. I just, it's good to see that he's kind of got his finishing under him because I know that's something that we've all talked about the last couple weeks about how, Saka's finishing just hasn't been there. What's going to happen. But yeah, it's great. It's great getting goals, not from our striker, because striker is a position that we're kind of, I think we could admit Locke is doing a phenomenal job, but as far as like scoring goals from that striker position, it's definitely a problem we have just because of what Lacazette does as a striker.
Is it a problem, nice. Or are we trying to do what Liverpool and to an extent Man City do and it's funny because I've been thinking about this for some time, especially after looking the way that Man City went, right? Aguero gets injured. They make this big hoo-ha about spending a load of money and bringing a striker in Harry Kane. It doesn't go through. They continue. They don't bring another striker. When they do play Jesus, most of the time he seems to be out wide. Are we moving into this thing now where the role of the striker is really changing? Because it seems to be that our goals now seem to be coming from wider areas. And then everybody raves about how our striker is doing other things that are helping the team. So are we looking to go out and buy, if we're going to buy another striker because Aubameyang is out of the picture and Lacazette doesn't want to stay with us anymore, are we looking to buy a forward in that kind of a mold? Or are we still looking to buy a striker who's going to put in the bread and butter goals of somewhere between, say, 15 to 20 goals a season? And the way that we play with our formation, we almost play with a two up front, with Odegaard being that deeper one, a little bit like when we had Henry and Bergkamp, right? He's very advanced, almost playing in the second striker role. What are we looking for?
So I think we're trying to get a better, a quote unquote, a better Lacazette. And going back to your question, is it a problem? I think it was a problem until we kind of had Lacazette play a tick better. Martinelli play a tick better. Saka play a tick better. Now, I personally think that Lacazette is enabling these guys to play better, but it all started, in my opinion, with Lacazette. And I think when Lacazette kind of hit a run of form, he kind of got a little bit of confidence. Was that confidence because Arteta said, hey, Aubameyang, he's out. You're the guy now. You're wearing the armband. This is your team. You're going to be walking out first you're going to be the first one to walk out with the team when lineups go out. Do what you got to do. And I think he's taken that flag and he's run with it. So I'm very excited for Lacazette. And I think Lacazette has enabled, Saka, ESR, Odegaard, Martinelli to be better. Now I think when it gets down to it, when we make a signing in January or in the summer, we need to find someone who's probably a little bit more athletic, who could do what Lacazette does, but yet still be in the box and finish balls and score goals, because at the end of the day, we're the position that we're gonna sign to fill Lacazette's role. He's gonna need to score goals. We're gonna need goals from that person if we want to take what we have to the next level.
Our host is back, but I do have another question that I've been thinking about, and you touched on it, Ryan. And this is to everyone, and that is, if you remember when we bought Lacazette, we spent about 50 odd million on him. He came in as our number 9. And then it was like 6 months later, we went out and spent an extra 5 million and brought in Aubameyang. And do you think there's a possibility that Lacazette has always felt second best? He's always felt that you know, he was coming to Arsenal to be this, you know, to be our main man to spearhead our attack. And for whatever reason, Arsene Wenger had his doubts, went out and bought Aubameyang, and he's always felt second fiddle, always felt that he was only going to come in when Aubameyang's sick or is off form. And now that Aubameyang has kind of been, you know, he's not injured, he's not off of form where he's going to be walking back into the team, he's been ostracised, he's been stripped of the captaincy. Has that given Lacazette some new belief and release?
Yeah, I think it's Lacazette's way of being like, oh, Aubameyang is human. I know, like, obviously, like, Aubameyang is human, but when like you said, when we signed Aubameyang, to Lacazette, it was like, hey, we got someone that's faster than you, scores more goals than you, and he's just a 90-minute player, which Lacazette, I don't know if he's always that 90-minute player. So when you look at it, like, just sheer, just very simplistic, you're like, fuck, I'm if you're Lacazette, oh, I'm in trouble. This guy scores more, he's faster than me. But, you know, with Mikel Arteta and what he's brought to the club and his structure and his tactics and his man management, it's a lot more than that. And I think Lacazette's slowly absorbing all the information that's being taught to him. And I think Lacazette's learning, like, oh, it's not all about just being the fastest guy in the field. It's not all about just scoring all of the goals, because we have players that could do that in Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, ESR. And I think kind of what the quote unquote the straw that broke the camel's back was being like, yeah, we don't need Aubameyang. You know, like, here, his captaincy's gone. He's done. You're the guy now, Lacazette. It's, you know, having someone put their total faith in you. I mean, yeah, is it because maybe he's our only option? Probably, but still, he's a professional. When he came on to the Palace game and kind of brought us back in the game and kind of really got the crowd going, got the crowd into it, Aubameyang was still there. So this player that Lacazette has always been there. I think he needed some confirmations and just like reassurances that, yeah, everything's going to be okay. Like, you got this. And Aubameyang is not here to essentially distract them, which is kind of, I think, what's not purposely, but I think that's kind of what's been really going on.
It sounds to me that, or it feels to me that we had Oliver Giroud before we should have had him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because Oliver Giroud sounds like, if this is this new style of play, that he would fit nicely into this kind of a style of play. And if you remember, you know, we moved Oliver Giroud on because we were playing where strikers were your bread and butter, but he wasn't doing enough goals. He wasn't considered the right guy to take us to the next level. So then we went out and bought Lacazette, who's never really matched Giroud's goals per season, may have tied it once, but he's never really been seen. For me, he's never really come as an upgrade, but he's playing. He seems to be fitting so much into the team now. And it just reminds me what you used to say, Tanner, where you used to say that you always felt that it was the system with Aubameyang that was the problem. So it does give a little bit of credence to that, or a lot of credence to that, I suppose.
And you basically answered the question for me. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's down the system.
He does miss a lot of sitters still, though, doesn't he? He has been missing sitters, Aubameyang, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
He does. If he's not maybe he's getting as many chances as we would like him to get, but he's not putting the ones away that he is getting.
I mean, the thing for me, and I've said it before, is when you look at the system and what Mikel Arteta wants to do, and this part of what he wants to do, I like, is get other players involved, because for the last 3-4 years, we've relied so much on one player to do all of the heavy lifting. From the minute Aubameyang came in, it's been what, 3 years now?
Yeah.
He's been here almost exactly 3 years.
3 years.
What is it? 4?
3.
3, yeah. For almost exactly 3 years now, we've relied on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to score the goals. No one else. We've complained and we've bitched, and we need to get goals from other areas. Who else is going to score? We can't rely on Aubameyang, but that's what we do.
trying to treat Aubameyang like he was Thierry Henry, but he ain't.
Right. Yeah. And while he was a prolific goal scorer in the world at the time, the system has changed. And what Mikel Arteta is trying to do is say, okay, we can't be dependent on one main guy. I want one guy to lead the team in scoring with 20 goals, hopefully more, maybe 25. But I want other guys around him. I want the Emile Smith-Rowes, the Bukayo Sakas, the Gabriel Martinellis, the Martin Odegaards. Let me take Odegaard out of that for a minute. But the other three names that I just mentioned, the ESR, Saka, Martinelli, Pepe, for crying out loud, I want them in all competitions to be pushing for 15 to 20 goals themselves in all competitions. I want Martin Odegaard to chip in with 10 to 13 goals in all competitions. Martin Odegaard's more the playmaker, not the goal scorer. He's the guy that's going to create. He might be the tertiary assist. He might be the secondary assist. But that's Odegaard's role, right? But I've been saying it's about getting other players involved, and we're starting to see it now. The other players are getting involved, and it's not down to just one guy to do the work. And what we've done is we've almost overcorrected the problem because we can't get Lacazette to score a goal here, unless from the penalty spot. We need to get Lacazette to score some goals, but Lacazette's play with his back to goal is what's allowing the rest of the players to get involved. It's what's allowing Bukayo Saka to come in on a pass from Tomiyasu and belt it home, right? It's the Tierney. It's where Lacazette runs across the ball, and allows a Gabriel Martinelli who's coming into the middle from the left to hammer one home. It's the drop back to Martin Odegaard who can finish as well. It's Emile Smith-Rowe and his volley from 15 yards away, like the one that he had against United. Those are the goals now that we're getting. Now we get that one guy in the middle that's going to lead everything for us. And now you're talking, and we're almost talking pie in the sky stuff here. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about all the scoring we're going to do. Going to be like me on prom night. That's 110% not true. And Ryan isn't paying any attention because he would have said something if he were. You little jerk.
I agree with you. And to answer Stan's question about whether we need a player who's going to score 15 to 20 goals as a center forward, I mean, you always need that, and it's never going to not do you good. If you have that. But now what we need is sort of a more energetic, a younger Lacazette, maybe. That's what we need. We need a player who's got that engine on him, because now it's sort of coming to light that we don't want that fox in the box, that guy. We need more of a target man. But for me, Lacazette is in a great vein of form, but he lacks that extra gear to get him into the box once he's in midfield and trying to and that's what I felt a couple of times, even when there was a cutback in this game. He was just on the edge of the box, and if he was in the middle, he could have got a tap in. So maybe we need a little bit more, a person who is a little bit younger, maybe half a yard quicker, but the attributes more leaning towards Lacazette than Aubameyang. And Aubameyang, it seems to me like that story is done. Everybody knows. It's no hidden secret that I'm a big fan of Aubameyang, and 3 years now, we mark 3 years of Aubameyang being here. And for the first 1.5 years, he's a bit like, I think I love these people who have half a good reign. Like, you also know how big a fan I am of Arsene Wenger, who had the first half was great, second half not so much. And I think with Aubameyang, it's the same, right? It was The first year and a half that he had was phenomenal, and the second year and a half that he's had has been, it's been underwhelming. So that's where it's ended, and it seems like it's the story should end now of Aubameyang. I'm sad to say, because he's a bona fide superstar who came in, who could have gone somewhere else, and he's chosen to come to Arsenal. He's got us a cup, that hasn't left us starved since Arsene Wenger days. So that being said, now looking forward, someone like a Giroud, yeah, but Giroud again lacks that yard of pace to come back into the box. So once we have that, that's going to be that and another central midfielder, an upgrade on Xhaka, because I think for Arteta the starting two is Partey and Xhaka, and we can't have Xhaka as a starting central midfielder and expect us to really be going for a shot at the title, etc. But the one thing that I can say after the summer is, whoever these guys bring in, I'm gonna give them a longer runway, because these guys clearly know what they're doing. Most of the guys that they brought in over the summer, I didn't know or didn't rate, and they've all been quality signings. So I can't wait to see what other gems we have. Once we're in the Champions League, then we just need the sprinkling of world-class talent as well, in addition to these youngsters, right? Because I feel like at some point, they're going to have a dip. Let's just remember that they are in such great form now, and when they do have a dip, then we've got to stand by them as well, right?
Yeah.
For example, even Rashford. Are these guys, and this is a question that I have, are these guys today better than Rashford, who came in 2017, I would think, right? He came in 2017, played his first Premier League game against Arsenal, scored 2 goals, and he was unbelievable his first couple of seasons. And then now he's having a ratchet time at Manchester United, had his injury problems, and then he's really going through a slump. And our players are going to go through that as well at some point. And when they do, it's the experience and the actual, bona fide world class players who'll have to step up. So, do you guys think that our current crop is better than, let's say, a Rashford or Anthony Martial, etc., who had come in?
I'd like to come in with that. I think that we've got four strikers on our books. We've got other players that can maybe slot in there, but we've got 4 named strikers. 3 of them got their foot out of the door. 1 of them's going to be going on loan. So we're going to be looking at some point between now and the summer to bring in more than 1 striker. So I don't think that we should be looking for a carbon copy just of a Lacazette. We should be looking for a variety. We want to bring in someone that can play the game how Lacazette and Giroud plays, but we should also be looking for something else as well. Variety. We don't just want to be, pegged as playing one way and be playing static one way. But it's funny when you mention some of the names that you've mentioned, because Anthony Martial, he was a player that I think that we even were looking at before Man United went in for him. And I think in the time that he's been at Man United, there's been a couple of summers where his name's been mentioned about being unhappy and Arsenal could be a suitor. But do you know what I found out the other day? I was watching some vids on YouTube. Anthony Martial, he gets paid more than Salah, Mohamed Salah. I mean, this is where the market is. He earns £250,000 a week without any bonuses. Salah earns 220 to 225. I wouldn't want to be bringing in an Anthony Martial. There's no way that, for me, bringing in someone like Anthony Martial, even if he's unhappy at United, it's just another, for me, it's like a Willian, but he's like a younger version. I don't see him coming in being hungry. He wouldn't take less than the 250 that he's on. He'd want more. He wouldn't take the same. I just think that we could. I mean, the guy that you got up on the screen there, Dusan Vlahovic, who I never knew much about until we were linked with him, he gets paid 25 grand a week at the moment. His buyout clause is 70 million, right? His actual salary is 25,000. Obviously, when he signs a contract with Fiorentina or if he moves to somewhere else, he's going to get paid more than that. But that's the kind of places where we should be looking. We should be looking at a player who's playing really well on a lower wage where we can entice them and say, you come to us, we'll give you 80 grand a week. You know, we don't want to be bringing in a 250 grand a week washed up Martial who's just going to come, he's going to bring his fluffy dressing gown and fluffy slippers with him and then sit on the chaise lounge round the spa chatting to all of the lads and then not doing anything on the Saturday. I'm tired of all of that. I don't want that at all.
Ryan, anything?
No, I think it's going to be interesting to see who we target. I think I kind of agree with Stan. I want to put a lot of my eggs in Balogun's basket, but we're going to try and 1-to-1 striker. I think we're going to have options in front of us. You know, there's talk that he's going out on loan to Middlesbrough, which I think will be good for him. But, you know, I think we just need to get that profile. I think we need someone that's a young 20-year-old that we could persuade with here's wages. We can, you know, you making 25,000 a week, here's 80,000 a week. But I also think we need someone, you know, who's kind of been there, done that a little bit, who I think we could still entice with higher wages, but yet someone that's maybe Premier League proven. I think Calvert-Lewin's kind of maybe a little bit out of our price range for kind of what we want to accomplish. But maybe like an Ivan Toney, who's 25 years old. You could probably give him a little bit of a pay raise. He's not making much at Brentford. He's 25, so he can kind of help us out for the now. But yet gives Balogun room to, you know, grow. Because any young 20-year-old that we're looking at, like the Vlahovic, like Jonathan David,
I like him.
They're not going to come in if we also bring in an Ivan Toney, or you know, or like a profile, you know, like a profile for like a mid-20s to late 20s player. So,
but would we only play with one? Is there a chance?
No, but I just don't think the Jonathan David's not going to come in knowing we're going to bring in, you know, an Ivan Toney type player. You know, Jonathan David is going to come in expecting to be the guy right away. Jonathan David's 21.
Anyone that we bring in right now is going to come here with the expectation, dare I say, the demand that they are the number one guy. You're not going to get, if you bring in one, you're not bringing in a second of any of the names that we see linked, because they're not there. Here's the thing with footballers. I'm sorry, they're just not willing to work real fucking hard to get what they want.
I don't know.
I'm going here for more money, and they have a better team, and I want to go win. I don't want to stay here and work my ass off and try to win here. No, I want to go to Manchester City because they just go out and buy their fucking trophies.
I think it's very cut and dry. I think if you're already a name, you're not going to want to compete with another name because only one name is coming out on top.
Well, but let me take that a step further. I think, you know, there are tiers of players, and I think this current tier where we are, the Vlahovic, the Alexander Isak, the Jonathan David, these are guys that are in a certain tier, so they won't look at another guy. They won't want to go to a team with another guy that's in that same tier or a tier higher than what they already are, because they just don't want to come. They're going to come in saying, I'm the guy. And if you're going to make me come in and prove it, fuck you. I'll go somewhere where I don't have to prove it. That's what I mean. When
Isak doesn't do auditions.
It's a team game, right? It's a team game.
Sure. Yeah.
If we've got three of them, as I say, out of the door, right? One going on loan. Let's say between now and the summer, I'll give you a trio. Let's say we brought in Jimenez from Wolves, who's at that a little bit of a higher end of the with the age spectrum, around 30, on a 2-year contract. Jonathan David, and the third one could either be an Isak or a Vlahovic. And you told them that we're playing a system with 2 strikers, so you'll have maybe one withdrawn striker in that, maybe where Odegaard is, and you've got the other one playing slightly forward. We're gonna have to have more than one.
There's no way all 3 players are coming into our team. Jimenez is going to want an expert. Jimenez is at the age now where if he goes anywhere, it's going to be. I don't think. No. Listen, he
wants wage and he wants term because he wants the security.
But it's not even about that. I think we're not in the Barcelona camp. We're not in the Real Madrid camp. We're not in the Man City camp. We're not that name yet. And I know we have the history and like we're a big club. But like right now, we're not holding as much. Yes, we're attractive in the fact that we're building something here. But as to Raul Jimenez, we're not in the same. We shouldn't be in the same breath as a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, a PSG, a Man City, a team that could win now. That he would be like almost like a Diego Jota to like Liverpool, where he's like a piece that helps out. He's not going to come. He's not going to come to Arsenal because he knows that he's probably going to fall out of favor really quickly for us. We're not going to pay him a whole lot of money because his next contract that he's going to sign is going to be his quote unquote like Lacazette, a big money contract. So if he goes anywhere, in my opinion, it's going to be to either like a boyhood club that he came up playing for or that he supported, or like a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, who's just going to throw money at him because he's an older player. He could be quick fixes because teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, they're teams that are just going to pay money for quick fixes because they could do that because they have so much money. We're not in that camp.
Barcelona's not in that camp anymore.
Yeah, yes, but they're still in that breath.
They have the name.
They don't
have the money.
BX is right. He's ready to go now. BX is right. He's ready to go now. I think he would be perfect for us now. And we could also bring in a Jonathan David, who's 21. Jonathan at 21, he's not expecting to come in and command and be the next Aubameyang. He's going to understand that he's 21 years old. Balogun's 20, so you could get away with something with an oven-ready Jimenez who is ready to go now, maybe a 2-year contract, and somebody like a David who can play now but is also still a prospect and fits in with our age profile. Balogun's in the background is going to be going on loan. Yeah. Eddie's going to be gone. So there's room I think there's even room between now and the summer for another striker. I think at some point we're going to have to be bringing in 3.
I agree.
Between now and next January, we're going to have to bring in 3, I believe.
I agree. It's just not 2. I would say 2 out of the 3 of them are not going to be names that we've talked about or that we've probably even have heard of. Raul Jimenez, if I'm Raul Jimenez, and you got to figure what he's got like 2-3 years left, like good physical peak Premier League shape. If I'm Raul Jimenez, I think my Wolves team is on par with Arsenal. We could compete with Arsenal. We could maybe even jump ahead of Arsenal in the standings and do things. So why would he then go, I'm going to go to a direct rival and potentially get bumped in a year for a younger guy because they're building a young program? If I'm Jimenez, it makes absolutely 0 sense to go to this project.
Because we're building something here, right? And we can
pay him more money,
and we can pay him.
We're not going to give him more money. What's the point? If we're building a young project, we're not going to pay more money to seniors.
It doesn't need to be Aubameyang money, right? It doesn't need to be Aubameyang money. See, I like Jimenez a lot. I think he's one of the good target men in the Premier League at the moment, right? And I had not thought about this, but what Stan has said really resonates with me because any of these guys that we are bringing in, the 2 names that are on our screen right now, these are youngsters and they're coming from abroad. There's no guarantee, and we all know that we have to give like a season's bedding in time for the Premier League, right? Just because it is the Premier League. There have been big names like Werner coming in and who haven't bedded in even a season and a half later. And so that transition should be fulfilled by someone who's playing in the Premier League, and bringing in someone of a Jimenez's mold who's at the twilight of his career or reaching that. would maybe give them some sort of assurance that you're coming in for the long term, but you're an understudy. Learn from him how he's adapted to the Premier League, and then you come in. The first season, I mean, we're Arsenal, right? If we qualify for Europe this year, we'll be playing 50 matches in a year, right? You play 20 matches, he's going to play 30, right? The next season, roles are going to reverse, or you're going to be 25, something like that. It's going to evolve. But what I must say is that if we tend to believe that this is our structure now, where we're not going to pay players, etc., then we've got to go for the win in terms of the Premier League in the next 2 seasons, right? We've got to be contending next season. We've got to be really in with a shout the season after. And I'll tell you why. Because if our youngsters play the way that they have been playing this season, they're going to be Manchester Cities and Real Madrids, etc., circling around us anyway. We haven't had that for a while now because we haven't had the players. But if we have that, then there are going to be teams coming in who are going to pay these players stupid money. And we're going to lose this team, disintegrate this team in no time. So, my biggest regret with Arsenal and anger with Arsenal has been that when we've had the attack, we haven't had the defense. When we've had the defense, we haven't had the attack. Everything hasn't clicked at once, right? There's been something missing. And let's put that right? 9 players who are 24 and under. And then we've got to bring a few more. Let's qualify for the Champions League, and that will help us get those few players who we need to start contending. And then we've got to go for the win the season after. If we don't do that, this project is done with, in my opinion.
I guess my argument is I'm not saying for Arsenal that's a bad signing, because I actually think if I'm Arsenal, I think Raul Jimenez is a good signing. I'm saying if I'm Raul Jimenez,
tell me why.
Hold on. I think if I'm Raul Jimenez,
well, I haven't gotten to talk. I mean, I'd like to.
I'm like saying 2 things and I'm done. All I'm saying is if I'm Arsenal, Raul Jimenez isn't a bad signing. If I'm Raul Jimenez, I'm not coming to Arsenal. I think it's stupid. If I'm Raul Jimenez, I think it is stupid of me to come to Arsenal. That's all I want to say.
Not Raul Jimenez then.
Why is Raul Jimenez a good signing for Arsenal?
I agree. I think we need
I'm asking you why.
And I'm telling you why.
You haven't agreed. You're not agreeing with anything. I haven't said anything yet.
I'm agreeing with Rohan. If you let me talk, I say some things that answers.
I love that. I just love being able to do that.
He knows I'm right, so he mutes me. That's fair. So yeah, I agree with Rohan and Stan. I think he is someone we can bring on that has Premier League experience, and I think he is someone not like Willian. I think he's someone who can adapt to the Arsenal culture. I think he can make friends, and I think that we need someone that could kind of teach these young guys a thing or two, and in a way, kind of like Rohan said, and kind of bed them in. This is why I kind of want to. I want to say fuck Raul Jimenez. If it was up to me, I would say fuck Raul Jimenez.
Who's the eldest, Jimenez or Lacazette?
Jimenez.
Okay, in that situation,
that's where I'm going with this.
I was going
to. I would say that I would try to keep Lacazette. And
that's
a 2-year contract, no more. 2 years, right?
That's where I was going. That's where I was going with this.
But an option of trying to sell him somewhere in a year and a half of that 2 years.
But
if he doesn't want to sign, then I would look at, for example, what I said, the Jimenez option.
But here's the problem that you're going to run into with this. These guys at 30 this is their last big contract.
So look at
what's that?
Lacazette's 29 or 30?
30.
He's 30.
Jimenez, they're both 30. Jimenez is about 3.5 months older than Lacazette.
No. Both of them are May born, 91. I just checked that.
I thought Lacazette was. I thought Jimenez was March.
If you can, because he knows what we were about. He's already in there. But if he wants to go, then I would say it's someone like a Jimenez to take over that role, while the 2, younger players like a David and that work their way up.
They're real close.
I wouldn't want
They're
to
like 3 weeks apart.
any more than 2 years.
So the problem with that, put yourself in the player's position. and I'm not trying to be argumentative, maybe a little. Put yourself in the player's shoes. You're 30 years old. This is the last good contract you're going to get. Because anything after this, you're on the downside of your career. Nobody's going to pay you what you think you're worth, and nobody's going to give you a 5-year deal because you might blow out your knee in 2 years based on your age. So no one that's 30 years old is going to come here on a 2-year deal. Lacazette's not going to sign a 2-year deal. He wants 3 or he's walking. You sign him on a 2-year deal, you're basically saying, I'm giving you a year extension. I'm going to sell you in a year. That's what you're doing there. And Jimenez, and it's the same thing with Jimenez. If you give him the contract, he's going to come at you with the same argument. So they want at least 3 because they want the stability of that, and we're not willing to give it to them. So as much as I love that, I want to keep Lacazette, but I know we're not going to because it doesn't make any sense from the club standpoint to give him what he wants.
What does he want, and what have we offered? Have we offered him only a 1-year extension so far?
He wants what he wants. In a word, stability, security.
So Tanner, so I just looked up their wages, right? Mm-hmm. So Lacazette is at 180,000 pounds a week. Yeah. Jimenez is at 41,000 pounds a week.
Fucking hell.
Triple his salary. Give him
But he's not going to take a 1-year deal. We're not going to go more than
3-year deal. A 3-year deal a 3-year deal for Jimenez, which you can sell him on for 2 years later at 120,000 or 100,000 is better than offering a 2-year deal to Lacazette or a 1-year deal to Lacazette at 200,000.
But I think Lacazette wants a pay raise.
I'm still in shock here at the gap between their wages.
I don't think Lacazette
where they are in the game,
what
they do in the game, what they contribute, their end product. I think their goal ratios, I don't know what it is. Is Jimenez much ahead of Lacazette? Are they about the same? One's on 180 grand a week. The other one gets 41 bags. That's a fucking big gap.
And Jimenez is hungry. Have you seen, like, he's lost out on a year because of David Luiz, right? He came back in, and I have seen him. He wears that head thing right now. And, in one of the games when he had just come in, he was trying to head the ball, and it just wasn't going in. And one time he headed it, and he just took it off, and he was like this whole frustration with his thing, and he was told by those guys to put it back on. He is that South, that Latin American. I know he's from Mexico. He's got that, that hunger to play. And giving him a 3-year deal for 100,000 is not a bad deal if you can get at least 2 years out of him, and then sell him in the 3rd year. And then that's the perfect transition. This is a great one, a great shout that Stan has brought.
I just don't. I get it. I know that. Look, I mean, I want Kylian Mbappe here more than I want my next breath. It's just not realistic. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it's just not. I mean, the age profile for Jimenez doesn't make any sense, and we already have a guy here doing the same thing. That injury of his, you have no idea when he's going to go grumpy old man, or worse, and go fucking Antonio Brown and rip his shit off in the middle of a game and walk out,
All right, easy.
Jumping jacks.
Stop it. You're being ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Players don't just wake up.
That's fucking
stupid.
Players don't go to bed when they're 29 years old, right, the day before their birthday. Wake up in the morning when they're 30, and all of a sudden they fucking need a walking stick or a Zimmer frame or something.
I need a walking stick now.
Got a fucking mobility scooter.
All right, final thoughts. Rowan, go.
Final thoughts are that fuck Liverpool. I hope that the game goes through. The fact that they've put in that petition means that they're scared of us. I want to watch Arsenal. I want more Arsenal. After what I've seen in the last few games. And now is the time to capitalize. I have already set Champions League in my sights now. Nothing else will do for me. And against Manchester City, it was heartbreak, but it was also hope that we've got. And come on, you Gunners! Second half of the season, let's seize the day. Every team should. We go into every game wanting to win. There are going to be times where we come out flat, and I understand that. But as long as we put in these performances, I think. I mean, I don't. We didn't see Lone Star here, right? Like today, because he's always like, Rohan, why are you, why are you always so negative, and why are you whiny, etc., etc. And I've always said it's the performance that I look at before the result. And when the performances are like this, I've been more positive today than I have been after any game before that. So, long may this continue. The performances, I mean, not the results. The results will come, and come on, you Gunners.
Ryan, go.
Yeah, go team. Oh, I don't know. I hope the game is goes through Thursday. It's gonna probably be my last day off. I didn't tell anybody, but I had COVID, so Thursday is my last day before I go back to work. I think on Friday. It looks like if everything is normal, so that's good. But yeah, the only thing I really wanted to touch up, which we didn't really get to, and I kind of jumbled around the whole Xhaka Odegaard thing because it was just craziness. But I think there needs to be some rule changes, just in football completely. Because I did talk about how if it's a foul and you're on the pitch, it should be foul in the box. It should be a penalty, and I agree with that to an extent. But the repercussions are very different. Between getting a kick in the center half to a penalty, I think it's a big deal. I think something might need to be done with that. I don't know. I'm not really as passionate about that as I am with. And this is going to even sound crazier, as I think there needs to be some kind of introduction of maybe like an orange card, or like maybe 3 yellows equal a red, because what we saw, against Man City, from Gabriel, I feel cheated. I feel Gabriel was cheated. I don't want to blame Gabriel because I felt he was cheated. So I'm not going to be mad at him, for getting cheated. But yeah, I do think that, the game's evolving, with suspensions, and the game's evolving, especially with COVID, and just, tactically fouling, and just a modernization of football, that I think some of the rules might need to be adapted with the times. And, an orange card sounds crazy, but I know commentators talk about it all the time. They allude to it, how like, it's not really a red, not really a yellow. And I agree. And I think things are not black and white. Things are not cut and dry like they used to be. And I think that, people need to be updated with the times. But yeah, I hope we do well on Thursday. I hope there's a game. I hope we win. And our next Premier League game is against that scum. And I'm excited for that. And I hope we can really show what we could do, because if it's any indication when we did it at Man City, it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Stan, you know what to do.
Well, I'm still trying to get my head around. Well, this video is obviously it's going to be demonetized, because like, how many times did Ryan say COVID? Fucking loads of times, right?
Yeah.
But I've never met anyone that's had COVID, so I want to speak to him backstage and find out if it really is a bastard like they say. For example, does it sit in your favorite chair and hog the video remote control? Does COVID take the last beer out of the fridge? These are the questions that I'll be asking him after the show. Big shout out to the chat box. GB, Danny Shaw, Riddy was in there. Stay fresh. AB Phil, Awesome Man. Renat Sahab was in there. I remember Danny Shaw. I hope I've not missed anybody. Beast the best. Lolo from the Stoop was in from New York. Pat S. Chowat was in there. PAPP. Thank you all for stopping by. Gutted that we ain't playing on Thursday. And I was just thinking, what constitutes when you have to forfeit a match, right? Sometimes matches are forfeited. What does it constitute? I mean, it's not being postponed because of weather. If you can't field a full team, does that mean that the match is forfeited? I'm going to look that up afterwards. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll speak to you again next Tuesday. Peace.
Yeah, that's it for us. We're out of here. It's been good footy talk. We'll see you guys out there.